Okay, I guess we're ready to start, ladies.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. We're the Affordable Housing Alliance. My name is Christina. I'm the Director of Housing Outreach Services. This is Elaine Shea, and she is our very seasoned intake specialist. She is a wealth of knowledge and has been with us for many years. Just kind of the format for today. What we'd like to do is we'd like to have it be a general presentation on different types of affordable housing and how you can access it. And let's save any kind of your specific situations. Let's have those conversations after, and you can come up and we can have you complete an intake form or just kind of discuss your situation. Let's keep the questions in the presentation just general about how things work. What we really like to do is we like to teach people how things work, because it can really be overwhelming, all the different programs, where you apply, and because we do this for a living, we have access to a lot of information that you're going about your normal lives you may not have access to. So that's the goal of today. The types of affordable housing, how to apply, some information on how to qualify, and then some different resources for you that can help you build strong applications and put your best foot forward when you're going for housing opportunities. So I'm so happy to see so many faces today. My best friend's mom of my best friend of 20 years, her mom is here, so I didn't expect that, but it's always nice little surprises. But thank you all for coming out. And with that, I will get started. I'm going to go over a little bit of who we are as AHA and what my department does, and then into the affordable housing programs. Okay? Okay, so AHA's programs overview. So not on this slide. We actually develop and manage affordable housing, but these three departments are the departments that you would interact more with for direct services. So housing outreach, that's our department, and we focus on financial coaching and education, home buyer counseling, teaching people how to become a homeowner, reverse mortgage, and foreclosure intervention counseling. Reverse mortgage counseling is educating people who want a reverse mortgage so they know the risks and benefits of it. And foreclosure intervention counseling, helping anybody who's at risk of losing their home to foreclosure or behind on the mortgage. We do rental search assistance and housing resource information. So whether you qualify for affordable housing or not, we do provide that service. The next department is utility assistance. Utilities runs three programs: PAGE, LAHEAP, and USF. We do have some of those applications here today. There's also a website that you can go to put your information and apply online. So we'll have all of that for you to access after the presentation. And community action program. They have a homelessness prevention program. We run the shelter in Monmouth County, and we have a homeless rapid rehousing and coordination network in Ocean County. They provide rental assistance, financial assistance, youth services, senior assistance, and transportation services. So we kind of have our hand in the pot. No matter what people need, we try to meet that need, and those are the main programs you deal with if you came to the AHA for direct assistance. Now the housing outreach department, we're going to focus on affordable housing today, but I want to let you know what we do. We do home buyer counseling, we went over these a little bit ago, mortgage default and delinquency, reverse mortgage, and we do disaster recovery, because people are still trying to recover from Superstorm Sandy after 10 years. Financial coaching, we're going to talk about this more in detail at the end of the slide, because it can really help people in their housing obstacles, because often those obstacles are financial and administrative things that we can give you tips on how to improve your application. Educational workshops, we have three. We have home buyer education, we have financial literacy, which is free to residents of Monmouth and Ocean County. It's a self-paced online course. And we have a landlord-tenant class. So if someone wants to purchase a home that has multiple units and you want to rent one of them out, you get to learn the rights and responsibilities you have as a landlord, which is very important if you're going into that type of arrangement. Yeah.
Are we allowed to take pictures of the slides? Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. And if you need me to go back, or if I go too fast, let me know. All right. So the next one is rental resource and referral. This is one of our hugest services that we provide in our department. Rental search assistance. That includes helping people get on waiting lists. Yeah?
When my mom was...
I'm so sorry.
Maybe you could tell me after. Rental search assistance, so whether it's for affordable housing placement on the waiting list that we manage, or whether it's just teaching you about all the different programs, or doing a rental search for you, we do all of that. It is tough. We because housing is limited and the prices are rising, but we do our best to equip you with what we know of that's out there. We give resources for rental arrears and security. Our CAP program has a financial assistance program, so that's kind of a handover to that department. And administrative agent services. We're gonna go into a little bit more about what administrative agent means, but it is essentially managing affordable housing for a municipality. So, for example, we manage affordable housing for Eatontown. So, we do the rental and purchase waiting lists for a variety of municipalities throughout Monmouth County. We have 10 total. And there's affordability programs that some of them manage that have like financial assistance for security deposit or rental assistance, but it really depends on the town. So we'll go into that a little bit more. And rehabilitation programs. These are programs where if you are where an owner, whether they occupy the unit or not, depending on the program, can get money, sometimes $15,000, sometimes $25,000, $40,000 for vital repairs in the home. So if the roof needs to be replaced, if the HVAC system is broken, that's something that they could potentially get assistance with if they or the occupant are under 80% of the median income, so that the income qualify. So they're all great programs. Hi, welcome.
Hey, sorry everyone.
Come on in.
Thank you, hello. Right on.
Yeah, come on in, grab a seat.
I'll to find out. That's my seat.
We saved it for you.
Hey, thank you. Gotta love it.
Okay, so creating affordable housing. A lot of times people call us, and they think that we are the ones that make all the housing. Sometimes we do. We do have housing that we have created, but that's not our main function. How affordable housing gets created, each municipality has a fair share housing plan, which is a plan for how many units that they are going to build by a certain time frame. And that includes how many units they're going to do the rehabilitation of to fix them up. It includes how many rentals, how many purchase units, and they want to meet that obligation so that throughout the whole state, everybody's chipping in a bit so that people who want housing aren't just pushed to one corner of the state and they can't access the jobs and resources throughout the whole state. So everybody has a plan, every town has a plan, and then what happens is a developer will go to, oh yeah, go for it, you wanna grab a pen? I'm so sorry.
Again,
Go for it, grab a
sorry.
pen.
Just sit down, what do you
Yeah.
need?
Thank you, all of us.
Yeah, you can grab a pen, thank you. All right, so, the developer is going to go to the planning and zoning board with a plan for what they want to build. Now, that developer can be a private developer, it can be a nonprofit like the AHA. They go to the township and they suggest what they wanna build, and they work together with the township to decide the location of the property, the location of what they're building, how many units. So you may have a development that has 2 affordable units, or you may have a development that's all affordable units. You may have single family homes, you may have an apartment building, you may have condos. It all really is up to planning and zoning, and yeah, the setup is, how the units are developed, whether it's condo, single family, all of that. And then, after it's built, the units are managed by either developers or their property management company, the housing authorities. So if you know a municipal housing authority, hi, welcome. It's okay. And administrative agents. We're an administrative agent. Okay, types of affordable housing. There are so many. So we try to limit what we would cover today to what would be most immediately useful for you in your housing search, but there are so many programs that we wouldn't even have enough time to go through them today. So we're gonna talk about public housing, housing choice voucher, low-income housing tax credit properties, and Mount Laurel housing. The housing that we do is Mount Laurel housing and also some low-income housing tax credit. Please. Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say, how do you apply to get in that Laurel housing?
Yeah, we're gonna go over that. We can actually help you. We
Okay.
manage 10 municipalities, but we know of the other administrative agents that manage the other ones, and there's also a website I'm gonna show on here too.
Okay. Ryan got
So-
a computer, that's why,
Oh, yeah, we can help you apply today.
Okay, thank you.
And then we can connect with you after to give you some resources for the other
All right,
places.
thank you.
Yeah, no problem, my pleasure. All right, public housing. So public housing is managed by public housing authorities, and there are nearly 100 public housing authorities in New Jersey. what I did was I looked up HUD, Public Housing Authorities, and I got the site that I have on the bottom here, and that lists all of the housing authorities. So those are the ones that manage all the public housing. So public housing, most often, what people think of is they think of like in the 70s and 80s, like the big projects, but that's not necessarily how they all are. There's garden apartments where you might have 8 apartments in a building and there's just 2 levels. There's lots of different setups, so don't let that limit you. If you wanna look them up, that would be better so you can see what you're dealing with. Yeah.
Yes, right, I got section 8, right, and I call my worker, and he won't give me a list as like of a house or anything. He goes, go get a realtor. I said, is that your job? He's like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
I said, your job is to help me.
Yeah.
Apartment and stuff. He's
I'm not
like,
sure
"No."
what lies in their responsibilities, but we can certainly give you a list and do a search for you. Yeah,
Yeah, we're doing the same thing, we both have the section 8 voucher.
that's great.
And, but it's hard because it tells us to go to a realtor. We've been day and night, I've been doing a lot of it online and it's.
Yeah, she does 3/4, we're gonna do a quarter.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is a lot of paperwork, and then it's half the battle finding out the places, and then it's applying and keeping track of his application. So,
Yeah.
talk to us, we'll do an intake for you,
Yeah.
and then we'll give you an application and we'll connect with you this week to do a housing search.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. So tenants pay up to 30% of their gross household income toward rent. So technically, it's what's affordable is considered 30% of your gross household income toward rent. Are housing prices matching our incomes? Not really, not right now. So public housing provides that benefit, whereas if you live there, your rent is cheaper. Income caps vary by area and they're updated each year. All the income caps are based on the income that people are earning, so they update them. And you would apply through an official municipal housing authority. So if you look up HUD, Housing Authorities, New Jersey, it'll give you the site, or you can take a picture of it if you'd like. Or if you wanna come up after and write it down, I can go back to the slide. Alright, so housing choice voucher in section 8. These income requirements go up to 50% of the area median income. This is an excellent program, and there are 2 main types. There's tenant based. That means the voucher follows you where you go. Sometimes there's limits on it. It might be a county voucher and you have to stay within the county. It might be a municipal voucher and you have to stay within the municipality. But you can sometimes request that your voucher be ported over to a different town or county and see if they'll let you do that so that you have flexibility in where you go. So tenants pay between 30 to 40% of their gross household income toward rent, depending on what you need in order to qualify. If the unit's a little too expensive, they'll kind of meet you halfway by letting you go above the 30% so that you can still get the assistance from the program. So that you work out with your worker. There's usually a waiting list lottery application process for these vouchers. They open up and they're open for a week and then they close, and then you have to wait and find out if you got pulled in the lottery to be added to the waiting list. So there are a couple different steps. Yes.
When is that week? Because we all wanna know about when that
They
week is.
change, but I'm gonna show you a
Thank you.
website. Yeah, I'm gonna show
Yeah.
you a website that announces them.
Luck of the lottery.
Exactly, it's tough, but once you
Thank you.
know that it's open, rush and hurry up and apply. I'm gonna show you the website you can check.
Yeah,
And
man.
you can even register for email alerts too.
Hey, excuse me, cause I had, the lottery, and I didn't win the lottery, right? But 3 months later, I had section 8 papers on my door. And, in my building, there was a bug problem down at the end, and we gutted it out, took all the roads out, everything out. So, when I got the apartment, I moved in the apartment, brand new rugs, refrigerator, oven, brand new air conditioning unit, everything was brand new when I got in there.
Wow, so you thought you didn't make it
Yeah,
on, but
yeah,
then they
but I
called you.
didn't, but
or
3
then they-
months later, I got the section 8 papers in the mail.
That's great.
So if you don't get section 8, if you don't get the lottery, you still got a chance to get section 8.
Yeah, it's just you never know with the time frame,
Yeah.
that's what's hard, yep.
The only question my sister encounters is, it seems like every single place has a different section 8 application. There's no
Yes.
universal section 8 application.
Correct.
She was hoping to fill out one and just flood the market with it,
Yeah,
so she has to do it each and every town or each and every county.
there's different types, so there's municipal section 8, and they would have their own applications. There's county section 8, and they would have an application for the whole county. And then there's state section 8, which will be for the whole state, so there's different levels.
Can we hit a pause and let
Yeah,
people?
come on through.
in?
Oh, Diane, you're- Yeah, no problem.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, welcome, happy to have you here. What we're gonna talk about today is different types of affordable housing. We talked about public housing, which is managed by housing authorities. If you wanna take pictures of the slides, you absolutely can. Or if you wanna get a website after, you can come up and I'll go back to it. But this
And
this
also
website-
just tell them this is being videotaped so
Oh,
that
yes,
they can
thank you.
go
This
on
is actually
Facebook.
being recorded by Red Bank Library, and they're gonna post it on their site.
Not to you, but to you. Hello.
Our 15 minutes of fame. Okay, so tenant based voucher, just to recap, it is the voucher that follows you. It can be used on any type of unit that passes HUD inspection, so they have to make sure it fits their requirements. And then, it's very important for you all to know that the New Jersey law against discrimination protects you. No one should be denying you housing because you are trying to use your voucher to rent the housing. That is illegal, and you can file a complaint. So New Jersey law against discrimination is really strict about that. You should be able to use your Section 8 to rent a unit. They can deny you for other reasons, but not for the purpose of using your Section 8.
What if you're hearing impaired and they don't accommodate for that, and give you flashing lights and there's a fire in the building, you have no way to do it, and then you have to put money out for an attorney to get what should be in a Section 8 apartment?
So I would file a complaint, and we can talk about where to file that complaint after, but, so they're obligated to give you a reasonable modification. The question is, if you have a disability and let's say, you're hard of hearing and they don't have lights, like in case of a fire, they must give you a reasonable modification. They may require that you pay for it, but they have to be able to offer you something that's reasonable to accommodate your disability. So I think maybe you file a complaint, but attorney could be a possible option too, but complaints I think would be good too, cause it's free and it's a way for that to be investigated on why they didn't offer you that reasonable modification. I would keep documentation of any requests from you, if you have emails or text messages, anything to your landlord, or if you wanna send them a certified letter, formally asking for the request and explaining why, then that would give you more ammo to show that you did everything you could, so that if you just had the conversation verbally, there you don't say, oh, that never happened. So, yeah, but very, very good question. And then
The tenant based, it says, it can be used on any type of unit that passes HUD inspection, so would that include even just like random apartments, like rented by an owner on like an apartments.com?
Yeah.
Or does it have to be listed on a?
Yeah, no, absolutely, it could be any type of apartment that a landlord is renting out, as long as it passes HUD inspection. So for example, if it's a basement with no windows, that type of thing, they're like, we want you to have access to exits, and so they're gonna have to inspect it, but it's any type of apartment, they have their requirements on what they're looking to see in terms of safety and, what's a suitable living space.
So do you have to get it inspected before you apply?
No,
Or it
no.
would be known, like this is already inspected, like check?
Yeah, so if you get the Section 8 voucher, you have a worker, and that worker needs to tell you what the requirements are, and when you find a unit, then they schedule the inspection.
Okay,
So that, it would be their responsibility to make sure that whatever unit you selected was, suitable for the program and could use the HUD monies for that. Oh, good question. All right, and then, this is my favorite part of the Section 8 program. It is possible, depending on the type of voucher you have, that you could potentially use it to purchase a home. If you are a senior or disabled, they can help you for the life of the loan. And if you are not, then they help you for 15 years. So if you have Section 8 voucher, or if you know somebody who does, that is an important conversation they need to have with their worker. Can I buy a house with this home, with this voucher? Because that might change some of your decision making over the next couple years as you figure out, can I save up a little bit of money and take a place that I don't love in order to save money for later to buy a house? But that is an excellent feature of this program that they're trying to utilize more and more. And then project-based. These are, oh, yeah.
I only have this question because you just mentioned they're trying to use it more. Do you know
Yeah.
like what percent of people's vouchers are like applicable to buying something versus just renting?
I don't know, yeah, I wouldn't have that information,
Or which
but I know
one's
the
more
state voucher has a program that they connect people to a purchase team. So I know that for sure, but as far as which county and which towns, I'm not sure, but you could also work with your worker to request that your voucher be ported over to a state voucher, and then the state voucher, but it depends on the limitations. You might have a temporary voucher that can't be ported over, and your worker would be responsible for telling you what
So
kind of voucher you have.
through the work.
Exactly.
Like your agent.
Exactly, like your case manager, I guess, for your voucher, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, and then project-based. So whereas the tenant-based, the voucher follows you, project-based, it's based on where you live. Similar to public housing, it is the rent is priced at 30% of your income, up to, 30 to 40 when you're, getting your own,
Hold up on your
but
question.
for the
She can
project-based.
continue and we can get out.
Yeah, project-based, that is for, you're actually moving into a place that is priced cheaper according to your income. Yeah.
Ladies first.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
No,
In a project-based section of place, is removed, it's your section 8 doesn't go with you.
Exactly, because it's linked to the project. So the tenant base follows you, the project base stays put, people move in and out, it doesn't, it just stays there. Yeah.
Excuse me, hello. In the world of homeless, where do I start?
In your Monmouth County, I'm assuming, because you're,
Yeah. Yeah, homeless.
yeah. So the best place to start, is with social services.
Thank you.
We do manage the shelter, but all the referrals have to go through social services.
Right, that's the beginning.
Yes.
The start of.
Yeah, and then they actually place you on a homeless navigators list for when public housing becomes available. They organize the list according to how long people have been homeless, any other vulnerable factors they have and disabilities, and then they order them by the amount of urgency. And then when housing opportunities open up, they connect you with that opportunity.
Which brings it back to Section 8, I hope. All of us.
It's possible, it's
Yeah,
possible.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
project-based
nice.
housing, public housing.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Okay, here's another site. So for public housing and Section 8 waiting lists, this site is awesome. So I have the things underlined and red up here. You click apartments, so you go to the site affordablehousingonline.com. I know they use the same term, but it's not us. We don't manage this website. You can register for email alerts here. You can see which Section 8 waiting lists are open. You can apply for Section 8 in an area that you don't know if you wanna live in, and if you get the voucher, try to see if you can have it ported over. So, yep, so there's a bunch of different resources on this site. Apartments, Section 8 wait list, public housing wait list. So Section 8 wait list is for the tenant-based vouchers, and the place-based vouchers. It will tell you, when you click on that, you have to go to New Jersey, because this is for the whole country. And you can register for email alerts. You just put your name and your email address, and they send you email alerts. You have to scroll down to New Jersey, and you see which ones are open. It's a really great site.
What if you don't have an email? I do not.
You could
I'm
potentially.
still trying to figure the microwave out.
If you don't have an email, then you could potentially call us and ask us to look and see,
Thank
like,
you.
every maybe month or so, give us a call and
Right.
see, can you guys check affordablehousingonline.com? Could also come to the,
Library.
come to the library here, they
Or
have
1-800,
computers.
is there an 800 number?
I haven't seen an 800 number on this
Shouldn't.
site, because I don't think it's an actual, like, entity, I think they just update the listings on
Come
here.
to the library.
But you can
Hello.
come to the library, you can also take one of our pamphlets and call us.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, and then we can look up for you, it'll take us 2 minutes to look it up.
Yeah.
And we'll glad to do that.
Yes.
great site. Low-income housing tax credit. This is another excellent site. Now this site is going, New Jersey Housing Resource Center. This is going to list all state-funded units here, whether they're low-income housing tax credit, whether they're the Mount Laurel properties that we oversee. This is an excellent site. There's also gonna have some market rate units on here that people post. All different programs. This is like a central hub where they're posted on here. So you would click on Find Housing when you go to the site. It's njhrc.gov. You'd click Find Housing, and then it's the type of housing you want. So rent, purchase, handicap accessible, things like that you can click on to find them. Okay? And these are all based on income and household size, and there's a set rent per unit, per bedroom size. So if they say, you know, anybody who's earning from this much to this much, they're gonna pay this flat rent. And if you fall within that income, you pay that flat rent. So that's a little bit different than the ones that are based on your income. It's like your income is used, but it's not exactly based on your income. And the rental units, for rental units, they're mostly in apartment complexes, but you may find some in two-family houses. That's possible. Garden apartments. So yeah, there's a wide variety, and they're trying to mix it up as much as possible so that you can't tell where affordable housing is, that everybody's just mixed together, everybody's kids are going to school together, and it's just all one community. So sometimes you can't tell, and that's a good thing. So Mount Laurel Housing. So this is one of the main programs that we manage for 10 municipalities. The reason it's called Mount Laurel is because there was a court case in 1975. Very interesting if you ever want some not so light reading to look it up. So Mount Laurel housing is often referred to as affordable housing, but as you can see from this presentation, there are so many types of affordable housing that it's not just Mount Laurel. There's lots of different types. The units are priced by median income range, just like the one I was just talking about, where they'll say anybody in this income range pays this rent the same way. Units are, we talked about that. They are units for rent and purchase, which is different from some of the other programs. You have the Section 8 Tenant Based voucher that you could sometimes purchase with, but this actually creates housing for rent and for purchase. Mount Laurel Housing also has, this is the affordability programs that sometimes provide security deposit, rental assistance, down payment assistance, things like that. Varies by municipality, and we'll go more into like how you find that out in the next slides. And then they manage the rehabilitation programs, but there's also other rehabilitation programs. For the purpose of today, this is just the basics. Yeah.
So you don't need to have a voucher for this?
Exactly. You don't need to have a voucher. You just need to be very low, or moderate income. So it goes up to 80% area median income. So if they take the area, which we're in Region 4, Monmouth, Ocean, and Mercer. If you take all the incomes, the midpoint of all the incomes, that's 100% area median income. Anybody who's 20% below that, anybody who's like slightly disadvantaged, it goes all the way down to really low income, up to, I think the new chart just came out, I think it's like 68,000 for a one-person household. So the income caps are pretty high. So don't think that you're ineligible for this. Talk to us after. You can do an intake online or talk to us and do an intake today and receive an application. But the income limits are high, so keep that in mind. Okay, so in the beginning I talked about, I was talking about how each municipality has either managed their own affordable housing for Mount Laurel, or they have hired an entity to manage it for them. So we manage it for 10 municipalities. We are not the only one. If you do an intake with us, regardless of whether you end up being interested in our units or not, one of the benefits is we try to keep a list of all the ones we find out have which towns, and then we give you that list so you can contact them. If you wait until units are on NJHRC, that's when they're available. So you're just getting on the waiting list right when they're available. For new construction, they are lotteries. So even if you get on the waiting list at the last one, they're gonna do a lottery. You can end up as number 2, you can end up as number 200. But for the existing units that somebody moved out of or somebody is selling and now they're available, those go by the waiting list. So it's important to talk to us. We'll give you the list. We don't have it it here today, but we can give it to you this week, of all the agencies that manage affordable housing that we know of. It's not complete, but we try to keep track. And then you can say, oh, I wanna live in this town, call them, get on their list, so that when something becomes available, you're already on it, you're ahead of the game. Okay? Alright, yeah.
How long is your waiting list?
So it depends on the property, really. We've had people that are on the waiting list for maybe a year, and then we've had people on the waiting list for 10 years. It really depends on the actual property. It depends, yeah, it depends on if they keep their information updated. That's one of my tips I have on here, time-saving tips. It depends on, maybe they just signed a lease and they can't accept the apartment right now because they have to pay the landlord won't let them out. So there's lots of different reasons, but I still say get on the list because you never know how fast it can go. Case in point, this man's story here, he was sharing how he applied for Section 8, didn't get on the lottery for Section 8, and then 3 months later had the paperwork. So you really never know, but that's why we say do a housing search too with us. We can try to see if we can find anything available now and expand the entities that you're getting on the list for. And we're gonna go into some time-saving tips too. But it is not easy, but we wanna try to help people navigate what's currently there for the best outcome.
What makes you a priority?
If you have children.
No,
disabled?
so, for Mount Laurel housing, it really goes upon when you get on the waiting list.
When you apply.
And, if it's a lottery, then it's completely random, so nobody would technically be a priority, but your household size needs to match the available units too. So, for example, households of 1 have it particularly hard because that's the least amount of units that's constructed household of 1. We see more 2 and 3 bedrooms. So if, let's say, you're on a moderate list for 2-bedroom and the only unit that's available is a low 2-bedroom, then you're not gonna be called for that. So it really is a matter of mixing and matching and getting on the list and timing, really.
Okay, I have a question. I've been on the list all over the place since 2010, okay? And I have, like you said, with the family size, it's only one of me. Okay, they put in new housing in, what was it, Point Pleasant, Eatontown, and other places. They send me a number that says, let's say my number is 123. I get a letter later on telling me that, sorry, I'm not available. This has been going on forever, and this is one of the reasons I'm here.
Yeah.
Because it's been a long time, and right now, I'm in a dire situation where the house I've been renting, the people wanna come back to it, and I'm not even gonna go either.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do we do? And there's only one of me. They said 1 bedrooms, my income is over this, but not enough. In other words, I'm too rich to be poor, and I'm too poor to be rich. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, and it's
So,
only one of me.
There's no easy answers, obviously, because you would have found it already. But what we can do is we can do a housing search for you on the places that we usually look. I would, do you have like a list of all the places you're on the list for? Very good.
You name
That
it,
is
I'm
good.
on that list.
Very
on
good.
it. Even homeless prevention called me the other day and said, are you all right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm all right for right this minute, but.
yeah, because they could be placing people who were on the list 15 years ago. We don't know how far back they
Since
are.
2010.
Yeah, so I
I
can't really.
can't get Section 8 because of my income, and, it's just a mess.
Yeah.
We're not even gonna go into it.
So let's talk after, we'll see if there's anything we can do. There's also things like, security deposit assistance when you do find a
That's
place
not a
that
problem.
we can connect you with.
I talked to those people already too.
Good, good. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right, so that's the site you can go to find all currently listed units for sale or purchase through the Mount Laurel program, in addition to many other programs. Qualifying for Mount Laurel units, this is the income chart. So as you can see, the moderate, the top is the maximum. To purchase, it's the first, the bottom low line. And then the very low income cap is on the bottom, but there's not a very low minimum. It just comes down to if you can afford the unit at its price. If you're in the very low income category and the unit is, you know, a 1-bedroom, $500 a month, you have to show that you can afford it with your income. Otherwise, they can't place you in it. Okay, eligibility considerations. The type of affordable housing program. They all use somewhat different income charts. They all have different income maximums. So there's a lot of different eligibility criteria for the type of program. Your income, this is your gross household income. It's before any taxes or deductions like healthcare or anything like that. It's what you, not what you take home, but your gross income. And that's for the whole household that you plan on living with you. So if you know that you're just living with somebody temporarily and you don't want to get an affordable unit with them, don't include them on the application. If you know you're just going in by yourself. Whereas if you can't live with someone right now, but if you found a place you'd wanna live together, you go in together on an application. That's fine, but figure out, and I know things change, you can always update your application, but figure out who is going to live with you so you know your household size, because that's gonna impact your eligibility for the program. Okay,
Very
assets.
informative, thank you so
You're very
much.
welcome, thank you. Assets, different programs treat these differently. Some don't care about your assets, some care a lot about your assets. So some of them will calculate, if you have an interest rate on your bank account, they'll calculate towards income, but usually it's not that much to make you ineligible. But that's something to consider. And also, you know, if you want to rent, they're gonna look for you being able to pay that security. So that's why it's important to link to a program if you don't have it, so that you can have all your ducks in a row. And area, state, city, county, where are you trying to qualify for the units? Because I showed you guys this income chart, this is only for Region 4. So if you're trying to qualify in Hudson County, the income chart's gonna be completely different because the incomes are different in Hudson County. You have a lot of people working in the city, making more money in that area, so all the areas are different. And then application process. So usually there's some kind of intake, whether that means you just fill out a simple form and put it in. Then there's usually some kind of preliminary application where you provide more information and you kind of get your foot in the door. And then there's always a final application where you have to provide many financial documents. Now, if you're doing a couple of final applications at a time, keep a master packet of everything, whether that means you try to go scan it up or you keep a hard copy, because if you're doing more than one, you're gonna save yourself the work because you're just gonna make a copy of the same packet and give it to different entities. That ends up being, the paperwork ends up being a really frustrating process for people trying to find housing, because they have to do it over and over and over. What's that?
God bless you.
Okay, practical tips. And after these practical tips, I'm going to give you a way to help with these things. I'm not just gonna say, oh, improve your credit score, like it's that easy. So improving the credit score is huge. Every landlord is gonna have a different, or developer is going to have a different requirement of what they're looking for. In order to qualify for a mortgage, you have to have a 640 credit score. So that's usually around the ballpark. Some developers require 700, 720, which is difficult. So one thing that we have, we'll talk about our financial coaching program in the next slide, but one thing that we do is we equip people with a certificate if they complete our money management class and if they complete our coaching. We give them a certificate, and you can include that certificate with your rental applications, so they can see, oh, maybe this person doesn't have the best score, but take a look, they did this class. Maybe they're trying to improve themselves, or maybe they had a hiccup like medical bills or bankruptcy or something. So that's very important. Our coaches help strategize based on what your needs are. Increase your savings. Our coaches will help you develop a budget and figure out, maybe there's public benefits you're eligible for, they can cut some expenses, and what does savings look like? Does it mean $5 a week? Does it mean $20 a week? Yeah.
George, what you're saying, the coaches, thank
Yeah.
you so very much. How do we get in touch with the coaches when we need to get in touch with the coaches?
Yeah, you can do it after we're done with the presentation. You can do an intake with us.
Or slow it down.
Yeah, we'll take your information and we'll put that you want coaching and whatever else you need, rental search, and
Right.
we can have a coach work one-on-one with you, and
Thank you.
anybody else who's.
Yeah. Not only me. Thank you.
Very welcome. Okay, strongly recommend this. If you see applications online, they may be old. It is very frustrating. You might print out all these applications, do them, and then you hear 90 days later that it was the wrong application. Deal with the entities directly. Get a copy of their application so you know you're submitting the right one. And stay organized, like this woman in the front. Know who you submitted one too. Whether it's an app on your phone where you keep a list, emailing yourself, a spreadsheet, a notebook, anything where you can say, I applied at this agency on this day. Because when let's say your phone dies, you have to get a new phone, and you have to change your number. Those are the entities you need to call and say, this is my new number. Because if they call you for an opportunity and you don't respond, they might take you off the list. So keep your information updated. Email, address, phone number, all of that stuff, household size, income, all of that. Applying for security deposit is huge. We have assistance through our CAP program. There are other programs depending on your municipality, but if you're calling us, we'll likely know, or we'll likely know who to point you in the direction of who would know more. Be proactive about gaps in rental history, past evictions, bankruptcies. So anything like that, when you're submitting an application, they're gonna paint a picture of you based on just paper, and that may not be who you are anymore. If you need to provide a supplemental letter that just shares like, oh, I got sick, but now I paid it off, or I'm working on paying it off, or I'm working on a debt management plan, or I'm working with a financial coach. Landlords like to see that because they see, oh, okay, this person's actually focused on improving themselves. Everybody has a hard time. So be proactive about that, and we discuss this regularly, update your information application. So we're almost done here, just a couple more slides, but financial coaching, we talked about this a bit already, but we offer this in our partnership with the United Way of Monmouth and Ocean County, so it's open to residents of Monmouth and Ocean County. If you do this program, you get to take the money management class for free. You get a free copy of your credit report. It is a soft pull. The coach teaches you how to read your credit report and makes a plan with you on how to improve your credit. You do a draft of a budget. The coach works with you on the budget, sees things you need to add, things that you might want to change. They'll actually spend that time with you to make sure you understand, and then check in with you to see if you need any referrals to any programs, if you need any certain type of benefit, like let's say if you lost your child care and you need child care assistance, all those type of things. Or if, you know what, you haven't had a bank account sometime and you need to figure out how you can start getting one. Those are things the coaches look into, like prepaid cards and low fee bank accounts that they can give you so that you can start small and build your way up. All the types of things that deal with finances, the coach will expand and find out what you need and give it to you. And then the coach, you talk to them at least once a month. And yep, I already talked about the course. Okay, so here's how to work with us. We do have intake forms here today. We do have copies of our rental application and our purchase application. We have the income charts. We'll have to make sure that you qualify.
Can I get that chairs put here? Appreciate you, thank you.
So you can complete an intake today. You can also complete an intake on your phone. If you go to www.housingall.org and click the red Get Help Now, you could also read more about our services. If you click the Get Help Now, you can say what you need help with, and what that's gonna do is that's gonna go into our computer system. So when we get to the office on Monday, one of our intake staff, we have 5 of them, you'll be in their pipeline, and then they'll contact you, talk about which application you need, and they'll be your contact for giving you all the information that you need. So I strongly recommend doing that. Any type of assistance you're interested in. We also have on the top right, you can see affordable units for rent and for sale. We update that every month. All of the units that we manage that are currently available for occupancy, for rent and for sale, we post there. And just all the information that we talked about in the beginning about our different departments, utilities, community action, homeless prevention, all of that's on there. And then here for the housing department, these are our locations. The Neptune location is our headquarters. So a lot of the programs that we have here are located there. You can go in anytime, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. For the Monmouth County location, as some of the offices have different times. So I would say between the hours of 9 to 4. If you know that you're not available, you can call in and schedule time to talk to somebody maybe during your lunch break. Or depending on who's available, might be able to stay a little later for you if you need it. But just communicate with us, let us know what you need, and we'll find a way to assist you.